Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a video about fall books and just getting into that fall spirit. So right now I'm getting a Starbucks. I'm gonna explain a little bit more of this vlog. I had to get my chai, and during fall I get a chai with oat milk and pumpkin sweet cream cold foam on top. Now I used to get this last year. Now it's on the menu as an actual thing. So I don't know if it's the same price or not. I hope it is. Anyways, today I am going to Barnes & Noble, adding some more stuff to my fall TBR list. I believe I have 9 books that I want to read this fall, but there's a few that have stood out to me that I want to add on. So I'm gonna go to Barnes & Noble and check that out. And then I will talk about the rest of the books that I want to read for this fall. So I got my chai, but she gave me a turkey bacon sandwich and I didn't order it, but she didn't want to throw it away, and that's the thing that I get at Starbucks. This is gonna be a great day. Well, we are at Barnes & Noble right now. I'm about to go in. We're gonna check out some books, see how that goes. I'm limiting myself to at most an hour at Barnes & Noble, okay? Now I know that seems like a lot to people, but my readers, please back me up. That's not nearly enough time to look at the books that I want to. So I'm also limiting myself to maybe 2. So we're gonna try that. All right, well, I left Barnes & Noble and it was maybe over an hour. Partly because I couldn't find a worker for a while to try and find Magnolia Parks for me, which is one of the books that I wanted to get. However, really quickly, I don't like the cover of this one. I've been seeing the cover of a different one, but when I looked it up, it's like a Brazilian translation. I don't know, I could be wrong, and that's just what they only had on like Amazon. But I'll give you a little sneak peek. I did in fact get more than 2 books. I got 4. I'm gonna go to Target and see if there's a discount on any books there. It's fall, okay? Please tell me why I thought I was only gonna get 2 books today. That's delusional. That's absolutely delusional. I got 6. I got 6 books on top of like the 8 or 9 that I already have. I got a goal this fall. Believe me, I got a goal. It also doesn't help that I have a best friend that I text and say, I have a problem. I have a book problem. I'm a bibliophile. Help me. But I could text anyone that, okay? I know if I text her, she's gonna validate my delusion. She's gonna validate my addiction. And that's why I text her, because if I say I have a problem, she's gonna be like, no, you don't. And I'm gonna be like, you're right. I don't. You know, I just have to keep thinking reading, education, verbal expansion, vocabulary, getting better. Okay guys, welcome back to my room, and I was not planning on buying 7 books, but here we are. So I already had, oh God, looking at this pile, this is crazy. This is gonna be the most books that I've ever read. So I gotta figure them out very strategically of how I'm going to read them and like what order, but okay. I feel like I can read this in the amount of fall time. So let's jump into it. Oh my God. This is massive. This is a huge, huge pile of books, and let's go through them. First one is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. 3 years ago when this TV show came out, and I loved it. I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna wait until October to read this, closer to Halloween, so I think this is a good fall read. Now we're gonna get into the next 3 I bought today. So this book is Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I haven't read any of her stuff, but I've been recently seeing people recommending her books for this fall time. I'm giving this one a try. This is about 25 years ago. This family moved into this house, very like Victorian estate, and then a night comes and they flee the house. The father of the family writes a book about the horror that went down, of how it's haunted, and then years later the daughter, she doesn't remember anything that happened, so she is the heir to the house, and so she has to do some remodeling for the house, and she starts to figure out whether or not what her father wrote in his book about the house is actually true or not. So it seems seems pretty spooky. What I'm worried about is I read all of my books at night. I think I'm gonna have to change that because I read Verity at night and I feel like that's gonna be very G-rated compared to all of these that I'm going to be reading. So I need to figure out another time for me to be reading these when it's still light outside, hours before sunset. I need to figure out a good time for that. Okay, this next read is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I've been seeing this everywhere, so I thought I would give it a go. I heard it's really good. I actually don't know anything about it. I just know a lot of people love this book, so we're gonna read this back part together. Magnolia Parks is a beautiful, affluent, self-involved, mildly neurotic London socialite. Oh, it's a person. BJ Ballantyne is Britain's most notorious and photographed bad boy who broke her heart, but these two are meant to be and everyone knows it. This sounds toxic. I don't know what this has to do with fall. Everyone's saying that this was a really good fall book, so maybe I'll wait until like November to read it. The next book that I bought today was Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This also seems very interesting. Before I started reading romance novels, I've only read mystery and thriller novels, so I am looking forward to going back to my roots before I was changed. I was a changed woman. This one is about a private school in Vermont. The founder of the school, his wife and daughter were kidnapped. The kidnapper only left one clue and all it said was truly devious. So I guess they disappeared and it is one of the greatest unsolved crimes in history. So this true crime child, I guess since it's a private school, tries to solve the case. Hopefully it's good. We'll see. Okay, so these next two are books that I already had. This book I've been trying to read for 7 years and never got around to it. It is The Shining by Stephen King. I always wanted to read the book first before I saw the movie because I heard that Stephen King did not like the adaptation of the movie, but I got tired of pushing that off and really wanted to see The Shining. So last year was the first year I saw The Shining. I was not really a fan of the movie. Sometimes I see movies that people are like outrageously diehard fans for, and then I'm like, I don't get it, you know? I'll watch it again, and sometimes I'll be a changed woman. Like for Harry Potter, I was a changed woman. When I first watched it, I was like, I don't get it. And then I saw it again 2 falls ago, and I was like, I get it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to reading this. This one is gonna be scary to read at night. The next one that I need to read is called The Word is Murder by Anthony Horowitz, and I don't remember buying this book. A woman crosses a London street. It's just after 11 a.m. on the bright spring morning when she's going into a funeral parlor to plan her own service. He wrote himself into this book, or is this nonfiction? There's no way this is nonfiction. No, it's fiction. He wrote himself into the book. We'll see how this goes. I like the cover. I don't remember buying this. Have the receipt in the book. August 28th, 2020. Cool. The next one that I bought today was at Target, and it is called The Dead Romantics. Girl is a ghostwriter for a romance author. She had a breakup, a really bad breakup, thinks love is dead now. Okay, this is kind of giving me the vibes of the Love in the Time of Serial Killers, I think is what it was called. It's giving that plot, and I hated that book. So we'll see how this goes. I'll probably save this one for October. Now, okay, this next book is kind of crazy, and I'll tell you why. I've never read a fantasy novel, so I decided to buy A Court of Thorns and Roses because I've heard a lot about this series and I want to give it a whirl. Now, I don't know if this is a fall book or not. I'll probably wait until November to start reading this because I would like to read the series. However, we'll see how this goes because like I said, I've never read fantasy. It's really hard for me to get into fantasy and like things flying, you know, dragons just chilling on a street. I'm kind of worried about this, but I could be a changed woman. I've been a changed woman before, so I could be changed again. Okay, so the next book is Layla by Colleen Hoover. I told myself that I would never read another Colleen Hoover book again because I don't really like her writing. Now, the one thing about Colleen Hoover that I will give it to her is She got me out of a reading funk and got me into reading books again. I started reading It Ends With Us last September, so a year ago, and that jump-started my love for reading books again. Her books are very easy to read and get through pretty fast. I just really don't like the intense trauma that she writes in her books. It's so painful to read. It's like those movies where there's a child that's sick or has a disease or is handicapped or something like that, and the evil spirits and stuff just likes to like pick on them because they're vulnerable, you know? That's how I feel about Colleen Hoover. And that's why I don't really read her books. So my best friend said if I liked Verity, I would read this. When I did my first book review, I said I loved Verity. And I loved it. It was like one of my favorite top 5 books or whatever I said. Now that time has passed, I completely retract that statement. I was able to marinate in it and realize that it's a so-so book. I think what really lured me in was the plot of it. I think that was very interesting. It's super creepy, like I said, but I went to Barnes & Noble with my best friend and we read the extended chapter at the end, and it made me really hate the book. Like, it was so unnecessary. If you want to read the extended chapter of the book or didn't know that there was an extended chapter, don't do it. Waste of time. Terrible. It sucks. I was already confused with the ending. It made me even more confused. Don't do it. Now, if you are still have an inkling to read the extended version, don't buy the book. It's the same exact book with one extra chapter added to it, and it's a hardcover, so it's even more expensive than a paperback. So if anything, just Google it. It's not that big of a deal. But she told me to get this, and it's supposed to be spooky, so I'll probably actually read it this month. This next book is You Will Be Mine by Natasha Preston, aka Wattpad sensation. Ah, she's a Wattpad lady. I bought this book last year and forgot about it. Like most of my books. Lila and her friends can't wait to spend a night out together. Partying is the perfect way to let loose. Lila hopes that hitting the dance floor with Chase, her best friend, will bring them closer. She's been crushing on him. Okay, whatever. The girls are touching up their makeup. The guys are sliding on their coats when the doorbell rings. No one is there. An envelope sits on the doormat. It is an anonymous note addressed to their friend Sunny. A secret admirer, maybe. They all laugh it off, except Sunny never comes home and a new note arrives. Your turn. The plot is intriguing. I might read it this month also. We'll see how it goes. This next book, I think I bought this in 2017 or something like that because I've had this book for a very long time, and that is Misery by Stephen King. I think I read half of this book. Again, wanted to read the book before I saw the movie, gave up and saw the movie, and I don't even remember it, but basically I have it in my pile now so I can read it again. I'm gonna start from scratch, but I'm very excited to reread it, I guess. I'm just read it again. This author meets his biggest fan. He gets in a car accident. Annie is basically his nurse and is taking care of him. She is like his biggest fan, like an avid reader of his books. Basically, she lives in this isolated house and just kidnaps him. It's pretty gruesome from what I remember, some of the stuff I was reading. I think maybe that's why I stopped reading it, was because of how intense the description of certain things were. And I was a kid back then. I'm more mature now. So let's see if I can get through this book. The next book is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I'm really looking forward to reading this book. I've been wanting to read this for a while. I know it's part of a series, but basically this really popular girl in high school was murdered by her boyfriend, and then he killed himself. 5 years later, she decides to re-examine the case for her senior project. Okay, that's a bit morbid, but as she dives deeper into the case, she might find some proof that the boyfriend was actually innocent and didn't do it. Someone is not liking that Pip, the main character girl who's doing this research, is digging around. So honestly, I'll move it to November. I only got 3 other books in November. This will also be a November one. It's the sequel to One of Us is Lying, One of Us is Next, and another book that I started reading but decided to stop. I read it right after One of Us is Lying, and I actually really liked One of Us is Lying. I just didn't like that it wasn't the same characters of one of the main character's sister that's a part of it, and I already starting this was not the biggest fan of it, so we're gonna try and push through it. The next book was another book that I did not finish. It's called An Unwanted Guest. It's winter in a inn in the woods. Blizzards cut the electricity. All contact from the outside is gone, but one of the guests turns up dead. It looks like an accident. But then a second one dies. They're snowed in, and someone is picking off the guests one by one. So it sounded interesting. We'll see how that goes. Again, I don't remember it, but I was only 100 pages in, so this will probably be September. Shoot! What is the date today? Today's like the 15th. I got some high expectations for myself. I already have 5 books to read this September, and today's the 15th. And I got a job. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta figure this out. The other one that I got from Target today is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Saw this on Pinterest and I thought it was a catchy title. Honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Lois finds out that her parents have died. She tries going home. She doesn't want to leave her daughter with her ex and fly to Charleston. Stop. This is Charleston? Okay, fun fact. I want to live in Charleston very badly. If I cannot afford California, that is probably where I would go. One of my favorite YouTubers, I don't know how to say her last name, but Stephanie Boer. She just moved to Charleston and I just watched her Charleston vlog and I'm obsessed because I only went to Charleston once and I already know that like that's a place for me because Charleston is gorgeous. You know, despite like the weather bipolarness and it's all over the place. I only went there one time and I fell in love with it because you got the beach. You don't want to go to the beach? That's fine. Let's go inland. Let's walk around. It's a small town. You can walk around anywhere you want. Oh, you don't want to walk around downtown? You want to go for a hike? Okay, let's go for a hike. It's just so easy. Anything you want is just right there in your fingertips. And you drive around the bridge. The bridge is so nice. Like, I love it. Anyways, she doesn't want to deal with her family home. Her mother's lifelong obsession with puppets and dolls. That's a red flag. As well, she doesn't want to deal with her brother, Mark, who never left their hometown, gets fired from one job to another, resents her success. Ooh, that kind of sounds like another person I know in my family. Unfortunately, she'll need his help to get the house ready for sale. But some houses don't want to be sold, and Lewis and Mark's home has other plans for them both. Okay, well, maybe. I have a feeling it's not actually haunted. It sounds like she doesn't want to go back to her hometown because of the memories that might haunt her because of the house. That's where I'm going with it. Since it's a haunted house, I gotta read this in October. So we're putting this in the October pile. And then the last book that I will be reading in November is another fantasy, and it is The Fourth Wing. Another book that I've been hearing really great stuff about. I'm obsessed with this cover. I think it's so cool. I'm pretty sure this one is about, yeah, dragons. I actually don't know anything about ACOTAR. Is this about dragons also? Fairies. Fairies. We'll see how this goes. I know a lot of, oh my gosh, what? There's a girl named Rhiannon in here? That's crazy. Fun fact, I was almost named Rhiannon because of Stevie Nicks, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. My thing is like I get very disengaged when I can't, oh, it has a map. What was I saying? Oh, I get very disengaged from things that I read when I can't pronounce them correctly. So we'll see how this goes. That's why I kind of stopped reading Song of Achilles, which is another book that I would like to start up again because I hear so many wonderful things about it. We'll see how these fantasy ones go because I don't want to stop reading it because I do hear how great these books are. I'm gonna have to get past my vocabulary disability when it comes to reading these types of fantasy books. But those are all of my books that I have planned to read this fall. I definitely feel like some of these September books are going to be pushed to October, which I think is fine because these are only the books that I have in October. Granted, one of them is The Shining, and it's a thickie. But I'm actually very excited for this. I'm excited for all of these books that I get to read, and then I will do a review on all of them. I'm super excited. Oh, really fast, when I did my summer review on the books that I read in the summer, I read 2, and I'm a quarter of the way through, maybe more than a quarter of the way through, with a third one. So the first one that I'm going to talk about was Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is my favorite one of hers. The first one that I read of hers was People We Meet on Vacation. I just, you know, it wasn't my favorite. I think out of the 3 that I have read, it's my least favorite. Happy Place, I love so much. I believe I gave that like a 4, but this one is definitely a 5. It's kind of enemies to lovers, kind of one-sided, but it's rival authors and they have this bet to switch genres So he writes about kind of dark, morbid stuff. She writes about romance. So he has to write about romance and she has to write about a little bit more morbid things, and she pulls from her own life at the moment because she's kind of going through it. She figured out some family secrets, and I really like this book. I liked it a lot. I read it on the beach. The second book that I read that mentally I give it a 5 for certain parts of the book, but overall I give it probably a 3.5. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This man makes me blush. He's gorgeous. He's the moment. He's my ideal man. He's secure with himself and very, very manly, but not in a toxic way, in a he knows what he wants kind of way. She drives me up the wall. The storyline is she gets broken up with, does something radical, cops find her, she goes to jail. Her stepfather is like, you have problems, you're entitled, you're a rich spoiled brat. Oh, she's from Hollywood. I'm gonna send you away. You're gonna go to your town where your father was from, and he was a fisherman, so discover your roots. She doesn't really know anything about him, so she goes to this town. Her sister goes with her because she's a really great side character. Then he was like, who is this self-entitled little brat? What is she doing here? I give her only like a day. Well, she stays. Kind of enemies to lovers at first, and then he like falls really hard for her. She's very cringy. I know she's the main character. She's the reason why I rate it so low, and he's the reason why I would like to give it a little bit higher rating, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. That's why I do a 3.5, because I'm right in the middle. When I read about him and his point of view, because it's dual point of views, I love him. I want to cherish him. I want to be wrapped around by him and him alone. The next book that I am currently reading is yours truly, and I'm about that much into it. Also, shout out to my bookmark that I made. Lost my other one, but then was found, but I don't have it with me. I bought this book because I heard a lot of great things about it. I am not liking this book right now. I'm on page 136, and this main girl, she is so annoying, and he's a sweetheart. So this storyline is there's these two doctors. The woman has been there working for a very long time. She wants to get a head position because the man that is in her spot is old and he wants to retire and stuff like that, so she wants his job. She also has a younger brother who is in kidney failure and is on dialysis. This new doctor guy comes in. He has his own issues. His ex-girlfriend is marrying his brother, and she worked at the hospital, so he left, rightfully so, and is now at this new hospital. She thinks that he's out for her job, and she is a complete biatch stand, like terrible person. He has anxiety, so he's like, sorry, we got off on the wrong foot, XYZ, didn't mean any of that to happen. So he gives her the letter, and then they go back and forth with these letters. He has his own like storyline of stuff that she's helping with, and there's a storyline that he's helping her situation with. That's where I'm at right now. He thinks she's the funniest person in the world, and I don't see it. I really want to like this book. I know this is a second book of hers that's like in a series, but it could be a standalone. If I had to rate it right now at this moment, it's like a 2. But it's making me like not want to finish this book at all. But I don't want to do that. I would like to finish this books. You know, when I was younger, as you can tell, I didn't finish books if I wasn't intrigued by them. Anyways, those are all my books. That's on my fall TBR, and we will see how all of that goes. I'm a little scared. Like, I really need to mentally prepare myself for this book because I will have nightmares. It's something that I've always been prone to. It's something that happens, you know, that's life. It's just the hand that I've been dealt. That's why I've been avoiding scary movies, but it is spooky season and just that time of the season to watch scary stuff. And so since I'm already watching scary stuff, I'm bound to have nightmares anyways, so I might as well read it too. That's my logic. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have read any of these books, let me know. I'm very curious. Let me know if you liked them, if you didn't like them. Hopefully I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye.